All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into the I Hope to Hear This podcast. It's actually been a while, and I took a huge break. And one of the last guests I talked to before the break was actually you.
Yeah.
This is James Han, aka Uzuhan. Thank you so much for coming back.
Thanks, man. I'm
Yeah,
in the house. I mean,
yeah,
it's great. I love this little chair you have me in. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
yeah. So I invited you specifically because yeah, the songs that you release are very thought provoking, right? Two in particular, right? Tough Guy.
Okay.
The idea of like the whole kind of picture, the story that you paint in the beginning of the song at a wedding.
Right.
Yeah, that was like I that was interesting to me. I could really relate because I've been a guy at a wedding dancing with my mom, and like
Right.
I know what that emotion feels like.
Yeah.
So and there's that, and then also Christmas Machine. That was it was bold. Right? It was a bold song to release on
Yeah.
Christmas,
I
right?
know. That was ridiculous.
No, but it also there's a lot of truth to it, right? How
Yeah.
so much of what we think of as Christmas has been hijacked by capitalism and kind of the money making machine. But
Oh, yeah.
that's kind of the what I hope to talk to you about today.
Yeah. That's
But
great.
yeah, I wanted to start on Tough Guy.
Okay.
So particularly Tough Guy for me, I think, especially like what I went through this past week
Okay.
has been like something I really wanted to think about because just I'm gonna explain to you what happened. And this is funny because this happened after we scheduled this, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Yeah. This was a month ago?
yeah.
Yeah.
This past week I went on a work trip to Denver,
Oh, okay.
and from Sunday night, well, actually Monday morning till Friday, I got a total of 4 hours sleep
Oh, interesting.
for the entire 5 day time period, and that was because like the like client issues and like trying to get things done, trying to work. Like so I was literally like just like up all night working, went to the client's office, came back, worked. Yeah, and I would take like hour naps here and there just to kind
Oh,
of
my
yeah.
gosh. That's
But
insanity.
going through that, I realized like I started asking myself like why did I put myself through that?
Yeah.
You know, cuz like it's not like my company wasn't going to fire me for saying, "Hey, this is like we can't get this done this fast." So like let's try to like figure out a different like
Okay. There
yeah.
wasn't additional pressure.
No, it was really just me saying I think there is always that notion of I want to portray the best part of myself to my
Sure,
company
of
so
course.
that
Yeah.
promotions like so that they don't fire me
Yeah.
whatever. So there is a little bit of that, but then there's also I think a lot of it is like I'm a father of two now, all right? So like there is a aspect of I have to be tough for them. Like
Right.
I have to kind of bury like the misery I'm going through to kind of live up to the standard of toughness
Oh, wow.
that we think of when we think of like fathers and like men, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, man.
yeah, so I mean I started thinking I don't know if that's kind of what you meant when you wrote this
Oh,
song.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I
So
mean, yeah.
so can you kind of just explain to me like your genesis of that song and like why you thought about like releasing that
I
song?
think for me, like, it's a lot of things. I'm 4 years married now, so I've learned a lot from my wife about how to just be a better human being. Specifically, why I mention my wife is because she's taught me to see a whole nother other side of the human experience, specifically from
Interesting.
the woman's perspective, how she's experienced men in her life, good and bad. Whereas if I'm just a dude walking and trotting along in society, am I really going to know other perspectives like that
Right.
unless I encounter them myself?
Right.
I didn't realize how much damage really like obtuse men, have how much damage they've caused in our at least American society. That's all I'll talk about, and Korean society because I know that.
Right.
So I've just been kind of thinking about it in the course of my marriage. I'd say stuff that was really hurtful, not with the intention to be hurtful, but my wife would bring it up whenever I say something ridiculously stupid and inconsiderate. She'd be like, "Why'd you say that?" And I'd be like, "I don't know." And sometimes I'd be like, "'Cause I'm a dude," and she'd be like, "Why is that? Why are you proud to say that?"
Right.
This is like years, of me just being like, "Yeah, what? Actually, why did I say that? Like, why do I joke the way I do? It's not even really that funny if I try to break it down.
Yeah.
Not everyone needs to laugh at my jokes, but why is it that I joke the way I do? Why is it that I have these blind spots? I mean, they're blind spots for a reason.
Right.
So she would identify these blind spots, and she'd be like, "Yo, I don't like how you, blah blah blah." She'd break it down, and so all 4 years of marriage have led me up to these, I guess, past year where I was just kind of wondering why I felt certain ways about, what was it? We'll go to the wedding, for example. I think that wedding, I mean, I actually was at 2 weddings like that, where I was sitting at a table and we were watching the groom and mom dancing. It's a sweet moment.
Yeah.
I cry every time.
Yeah.
Literally. I don't know if you do, but every time without
Yeah.
fail. Because it's always like their favorite song or the mom's favorite song. And I'm very sentimental.
And I think there is something about, especially for like Asian Americans, we think of our relationship with our parents very kind of hindered.
Yeah.
But I think there is something special about boys and their moms.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, like I know with like me and my dad even, like we're a lot better now, but we used to be like, it used to be awkward between us. Right? But then like it was never like that with my mom. So like
Yeah.
when I danced with my mom for my wedding, it was a different level of emotion. That
I was crying the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even remember what I did. All I did was dance a little bit with my mom, and then I just put my face in her shoulder, and I was crying, and she's like, "Stop crying."
Yeah.
But I was at these 2 weddings, and I'm a mess, And as I'm crying, I'm like, "Oh shoot, I ran out of all my tissues. Who has tissues?" So I looked to my left and my right, and I was sitting next to these dudes, and I was like, "Can I have your tissue?" They weren't using theirs, obviously, so I took it. After I wiped my tears, I look at them, I'm like, "What? What? You guys aren't even like, you guys are just like stiff-necked, tense eyebrows, holding it in, They might be crying inside, but they're not showing it at all. They just kind of like keep their chin up and just kind of,
So did it look like they were actively fighting the release of that
almost,
emotion?
or because when emotion is felt, it's contagious.
Right.
When that kind of empathy is felt, everyone in the room starts being emotional.
Yeah.
So literally everybody in the room was emotional and crying, expressing that empathy. And these guys at my table, they were just trying not to release it. They were holding it in tension. And at that time, I was 4 years married at that point, 3.5, whatever. And I was like, dude, y'all are like, this is not good. Like, I almost feel bad for you. Before, I used to think like, oh, but he's just being a dude. But now I'm realizing it's because he's a dude. That's why he can't, oh my gosh, that's why he can't express himself. Is there a problem with us? How are we raised up? And I only speak from the Korean American experience, really.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not given space and permission to cry, express a range of emotions. I can only express maybe anger.
Right.
And is frustration an emotion?
Kind of anger adjacent, right?
It's even crazy that I don't even know how to identify emotions very quickly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's a tragedy.
Yeah.
So I think it was that wedding really like triggered something in me to be like, dude, I think something's wrong here with us.
So I wonder, do you think it's because I think there's 2 components. You can look at it from how we were raised,
Right.
and the other part is like what society expects of us.
Right.
Like, do you have a sense of which is probably like more of an influence, or?
I mean, society, media is going to inform how we raise our children. If you're unless you don't consume any media on your phone or your TV or whatever, movies, then what are you? You're like a
Hermit.
Yeah, you live under a rock, I guess, which is chill, Patrick Star, right? Whatever. So I thought about it like so. Right now, I think it's beautiful that there are so many programs and things to elevate women. I love that, and it should continue. I think somewhere along the line, as we were encouraging and wanting to lift up women, somewhere along the line, we just thought, for guys, like y'all just need to stop, stop acting this way. Or I haven't quite figured it out. There is this one guy I follow on Instagram. His name is Jason Wilson.
Okay.
He does a lot of content talking exactly about what the tough guy song is about. I watched this video where he's this black dude who has like gray beard. He has like a martial arts dojo. I don't know if you've seen his videos. Okay, so his videos, it's very inspiring. I cry a lot of times because he's like training young guys, kids, black families, fathers, how to like express themselves.
Yeah.
So I put a video up once on my Instagram, like a clip of the thing that inspired me. It was
Was it with the dad and the student?
he probably.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's not the one that I.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, dad and the student.
It was like I don't know if this is the same guy, but like before the kid could like progress, like he had to like his father had to like do push-ups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is the exact same guy. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then-
He'll use life lessons, and like try to teach it. It's like sometimes you're gonna have to push your father because he can't carry all the weight.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a powerful video too.
Yeah.
That I watched that after the video I'm talking about. This one, it was the video was a young kid and the teacher, Jason. He was like, I need you to grab me and hold on, okay? And hold on tight. I'm going to shake you, but you can't hold on. That's the drill. We're going to work on your grip. And, the kid is like holding on and then he shakes him off. And then, he's like really struggling. And then Jason asks, hey, what's the matter? What's the matter, son? And he's like, I'm nervous. He's like, you're what? He's like, I'm nervous. He's like, oh, you're nervous. That's okay. Like, and then he made it a lesson. He's like, young boys and men aren't allowed to express themselves and express even these things because we're supposed to have it all figured out. But expressing yourself is how you heal. Expressing yourself is expressing your emotions is how you, that's like the path to healing,
Yeah.
And it was just amazing because the kid, he was like, he told the student, he's like, yo, just say how you're feeling. I'm nervous. He's like, yell it out. I'm nervous. And then he was like shaking him the whole time and he like held on to him, and it was interesting how it empowered him to like complete the task or, like function as a human.
Right.
So I thought that was really neat. I was like, wow, there is power in expressing your emotions, and also with the person you express it to, it's actually a path of connection. I realized. I thought, oh, I shouldn't express myself because I'm a burden, inconvenience, or I'm gonna hurt them. But these things, I mean, you can't really control it because everyone will get hurt by anything. So, but what it definitely does is it eliminates any path of connection. And that's what I've experienced with my parents. They don't express any harsh things really. They don't really say anything, and as a result, I don't feel connected to them.
Right.
Yeah,
man, that's so interesting. It's because as you're saying this, I'm thinking, yeah, it is true that expressing these things is good, right? But why is it that we don't? Because like, it's natural to do things that are good for you, right? I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking like McDonald's, people eating McDonald's and stuff like that. But usually, like if there's something good for you, you would want to give yourself permission to do those things, right?
yeah,
But there is something about who we are as a society that so limits the way that we can express ourselves. Like with the video you were talking about, like that's a perfect example of it. A little kid at that age already feels some sort of burden in expressing how he feels.
right.
Like, why is that? Like, why do we have this? Is it feels almost innate, right? Like, is it taught or is it something we're born with?
No, I think we're taught
Or
it.
right?
That's what I think.
So like, because the reason I asked the question is how can we reverse this, right? So I don't have any sons. I have two daughters. So
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, this is just for the future generations in general.
I'm looking up the lyrics.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
realized. Okay.
Yeah, 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 please, please. But because my mind, it's we need to now that we've identified that it's an issue, we need to figure out a way to correct it. And I really do think it starts with like people in our generation. You know, like married, like
Yeah.
I'm married, we have kids, and you. I don't know if you'll have kids one day or not, but like
Yeah.
even if you don't have kids, I think just being a member of society in this stage of life, I think like if you I think part of you releasing that song gives people permission to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Like you released a song, and that triggered me reaching out to you,
Yeah, it's
and then
true.
now we're releasing this conversation out
I
to
know.
the world.
Yeah.
So I think this is at least the first step, you know, of actually talking about it and identifying the fact that it's bad. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you think we can do to kind of correct it?
Let's see. Like, I think I think this idea of like even generational trauma, it's like something that I kind of think about because this has been taught to us like by our parents. You know, why did they react and, you know,
Yeah.
hold it in the way they do? You know, they receive, you know, whatever trauma and experiences from their parents. And, you know, I guess that's where I go. I try to wonder, okay, how did my specific dad or mom, how were they raised up? You know, like they weren't able to, I don't know. I imagine like, cause they couldn't eat very well, like expressing yourself wasn't really that beneficial, you know? If you're starving, if you're like, I feel lonely, you know, if you were to say that, it's like, you'd be shut down probably real quick. It's like, yeah, me too. And I'm hungry and okay, so what?
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, I'm guessing most of our parents had parents who grew up during war times. So like our grandparents, right? Like they like during the Korean War, like occupation of like the occupation by Japan, all those things.
Right.
So they grew up in an environment where it was like literally survival first.
Right.
Like, there were people who literally like during the Korean War had to just pack up their bags and leave their village and try to figure out
Right.
how to like survive elsewhere.
Yeah.
So there's that component, but there's another component where I'm sure a lot of our parents didn't have a father to model what like being a man is supposed to look like. So they probably just kind of picked it up here and there, and the survival and provision that they provide for the family probably became like a huge part of their identity as a father or head of a household.
Yeah.
And in that role, it's not really beneficial to show vulnerability or to show emotion.
Yeah, there's no connection they've ever experienced with their parents. My mom and dad, they never ate at the same table with their dad. Because at least that generation, the fathers always had their own nice table, you know, and they sat separately from the kids and the mom.
Yeah.
So, you know, so there's already a disconnect
Yeah.
at the dinner table. And the dinner table, you know, is like one of the best places to create and form long-lasting connections.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, okay, you don't even have that in your household. They're working all the time, you know, like there's also like filial piety. They're gods. The mom and dads are gods. So
Right.
whatever they learned is the land of the law. So basically, like what I've realized, my parents, they've had a hard time being able to form connections with their own family members and their own parents. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a huge hindrance for them to interact with us, you know? And then I look at America and I'm like, okay, well, I've been, you know, whenever somebody cries, especially a boy, you know, people say, yo, toughen up, like stop being a little girl, you know? I think that, or stop being using a B word, you know, like I think that is very disparaging. I think that in itself, I don't know if guys, girls, I don't know who created it, but the fact that it became part of our like language is very destructive for guys, you know, because like, and I think this is where stereotypes makes me wonder like what the use of stereotypes have, you know, in our modern day. I get it. We need stereotypes to like quickly figure out, things about somebody. Right. However, I think the stereotype for a guy and even a girl, I think those things should be readjusted. As time goes on, it will be. Like, I think it's a tragedy if you want to be a guy, you have to wear a suit. Or, you have to, I don't know, wear boots. I'm just trying to think of like the very stereotypical guy, have some leather jacket and ride a motorcycle. I don't know.
Right.
Or have a pickup truck. I think those, and people stick to those stereotypes a lot, Okay. Even for kids' clothes. Why is it that blue is for guys and pink is for girls? It makes no sense. It's purely, for me, it seems very just marketing. It seems like a marketing machine to do that. So I don't know, man. Like, society has kind of set it up for you to just kind of fall into place, and that's boring.
Yeah, no, and I don't know. Like, yeah, you're right. Is there any benefits of those? I mean, I guess there must be, because that's why they exist. But at least in terms of being able to be vulnerable for guys, I think it's a huge disservice to men. And you know what's really sad about it? Like, when I think about just my life, me personally, with my kids who are 2 years old and 6 months old, like, I have to have some sort of tough facade, because if I'm freaking out, they're gonna freak out.
Right.
So there's a level of necessity there. Like, I have to be the rock for my family. So there's a toughness in that. But what's sad is I don't remove that facade when I'm with my guy friends.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because, like, I feel like the one place that men should have that release is with other guys. Because, like, like, we know what we're going through each other, right? But, like, instead of saying, man, like, this week was just emotionally tough, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're almost in a place of, like, one-upping each other in toughness.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's so sad that maybe it happened to us because of the way that we were raised, but we perpetuate it in the way that we continue to conduct ourselves.
Yeah, dude.
Do you ever, like, get to talk kind of vulnerably with your guy friends?
I do, yeah. I think I've chosen friends who are willing to go there with me. If someone's not willing to go there with me yet, I just think, well, maybe not yet, but hopefully one day, same time, or when the time is right.
Right.
But the people who are close to me, like, I feel like I'm able to be vulnerable, like, brutally honest. And I realize that's not easy for most people. I've known these people for many years.
Yeah.
And it's taken many years of not doing that.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, dude, forging, and it's scary. It's scary to be like, hey, I feel lonely. Yeah. I feel sad about this. I feel very disappointed. Expressing those things, it's, like, scary in general. So to find people that would be safe to express those and share those things with, I mean, doesn't come easy.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about this. I'm guilty of kind of attributing negative attributes to vulnerability. Like, I had a friend, actually last night, I had a friend who said, hey, like, this thing happened and it made me feel some sort of way. And, like, my initial reaction was to be like, so that's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, why is that a big deal to you?
Yeah.
But then, like, I didn't say that. But, like, the fact that was my initial reaction, like, that's like, oh, it's like, even someone like me who wants to do something to fix it, like, it's, like, ingrained in me to a level where it's almost a reflex.
Right.
But this guy is, like, one of my closest friends. So the fact that we are able to have conversations like that, I think, and he's one of the very few guy friends who I'm able to do this with. And the fact that we can talk this openly, I think, really helps in our relationship. Like, it's, like, really, like, forged a great friendship.
Yeah.
And, like, we can kind of be a refuge for each other.
Yeah.
And it's, I wonder how many guys are out there who don't have that.
Yeah, I've stopped assigning value to people's emotions. Like, value as in, oh, that's good, that's bad. Like, I've stopped just doing that. And whenever I catch myself, I try to recalibrate, because I'm like, oh, I don't actually have a right to say, so what? That's bad, or that's good. Even it's kind of like this. Yeah, I like one thing that was helpful. This one situation happened with my friend. He was friends. Something happened, and this one friend was trying to express that she was like really upset, like, and she's like really frustrated. And then the other friend, who was the guy, was like, "Yo, why are you upset?" Like, he's trying to explain why the situation shouldn't evoke negative feelings.
Yeah.
And this friend, she was like, "Dude, like, shut the hell up. Like, I'm just trying to talk. I'm trying to like I know exactly what I could have done, but because of like what the situation was, it just like I didn't have much of a choice. It's just how I felt." And when I was there, I was like, "Dude, all she has to do, she's just trying to recharge her battery. That's literally it, But somehow it bothers you or makes you uncomfortable that these negative emotions are now on the table. It's not even about you, why does it bother you so much?" And I understand, like, emotions used to really scare me, because I didn't know what to do with them. I never got to swim around in them.
I think it's because one thing I realize we do is we create this surface of action, right? Like how we choose to act, how we choose to react. But below that, there's emotion, and emotion is very difficult to control. Like, you can't say, I'm not going to be offended by these things. Like, maybe you can like train yourself to over time kind of become that way. But like the way that you feel emotionally when something happens, I think that's almost just part of who you are. And like how you choose to act in that situation is up to you. But like the emotion, right? So yeah, I think when we see somebody and see their actions, and then we see that their emotions is kind of different, maybe that makes us a little uncomfortable.
Oh, interesting. What, like, give me an example.
So let's say that I don't know, like today, let's say that you came over and you said, "Oh, like you're trying to think of, oh, your house is a mess," right?
Okay.
And then I said, "Oh, haha, okay." And then I just kind of came upstairs, like kind of just played it off. Yeah. And then now you're thinking, "Oh, David's just a good guy who can take a joke."
Yeah.
But then and then afterwards I was like, James, when you said that actually like really hurt me because so then like now there's like kind of like two versions of David, right? Like the version that you saw in the reaction that I provided.
Oh, I see.
But then there's a version below the surface. That's kind of the truer David.
Yeah.
And I think there is like me sharing that with you is a level of vulnerability that I'm willing to get into.
And
right?
trust.
Yeah, trust.
You're saying I also trust you enough with this because you can totally destroy me at this moment.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I wonder if there is, for people who don't have like a deep enough relationship, if there is a level of discomfort. Because I can see that happening to me. Like, if a friend I know who's like super like happy-go-lucky, one day said to me like, "Oh, David, the way that you did that the other day, like, it like really put me down." I think I might feel a little betrayed, as in like, why haven't you shown me this side of you before?
Yeah.
But I think, I think that might be where like the discomfort comes from. But I think that's a good thing, right? Because like then that's kind of the foundation where you can start building that relationship from.
Yeah.
And kind of feel free to, because when you express your emotions, it's not always about finding a solution. It's a lot of times just about venting and kind of like getting it out there so you can feel free to express yourself.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I think, oh man, I was going to say it. What was it? I forgot. It's cool. What you're saying is very true, man. Like, I think it's connection, man. I just think of connection. We want connection with people, and I don't need to explain more. I think that in itself, humans were built for connection. We were created to be connected. If I want connection with somebody, I don't need to explain it. I don't feel the need to justify myself. I want to feel connected, period. Yeah.
And I think, like, as we're talking through this, one of the things that if we're striving to give permission to each other to be more emotionally vulnerable,
Yeah.
I think we actually have to give each other that permission. Meaning like in this situation that we talked about, like you might feel a little away about someone emotionally, like someone expressing themselves emotionally. Like you have to let that person do that. Like you can't just say, well, don't do that because that makes me uncomfortable, because then that makes us kind of burrow deeper and continue with this facade. And there's I know there's a stat where suicide is skewed disproportionately toward male.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah. So like, there's no wonder, right? Like, there's all these things kind of happening under the surface, and we're never in a space where we feel comfortable to release and to express ourselves. Like, we have to be this tough guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you carry a lot. Like the older you get, like with more roles that you take on, like as a father, as a husband, I think you need to have, you need to be able to release that. Yeah, you need to be able to kind of lay down the load every now and again.
Yeah, I mean, we've been mishandled. People mishandle each other all the time. So I'm sure there are plenty of people I've talked to where I've mishandled that conversation. Definitely did that with my wife. Like, mishandle how she expresses herself all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm this guy who's saying he's on this journey to, grow and be a better version of myself.
Yeah.
So, like, what I've done personally is just like, I guess, redefine what strength maybe means, what it means to be strong. I used to think, because what I saw in movies and TV shows, a certain kind of like, character. Like I've recently watched the Netflix show, My Name. It's like a Korean show.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
an intense show.
Yeah, it's an intense show, and I'm just using that because I just saw it. So the main character, the girl, in my mind, in my old version of James, I would think, wow, she's a really strong, tough-minded person, and that would be my standard. But me and my wife were talking about it. We're like, yeah, for the sake of the movie and the plot and the mission she has to be this like silent killer, yeah, that's cool. But she would have no friends, she would have nobody around her. Why do you think she has no friends, you know? So I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, that's the image where I have of this is what a tough person should be. Therefore, I should be like that because this is what I should look up to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the show wants to do that.
Yeah.
But that's a good example of things I've seen over the years of portrayals of men, what men should be.
No, even in that show, though, I think they initially presented as this is great. And I don't want to ruin the show for people who haven't seen it, but it kind of does unravel for her.
It's true. Yeah. I didn't want to say that. But
Yeah. So, I think, this conversation is great because I think it can be it can be a jumping off point for us, like as just like society, to start saying, hey, these emotions are real. This tough guy facade like really has very little value, and you might be damaging yourself. So let's be more open. We understand there are situations where like you do have to just be a steady rock, but in situations where you don't have to be, I think it's important that like friend groups, communities, like we give each other permission to say, hey, like, how are you doing emotionally? Like, not just what can I do to help you fix the situation you're going through, but like, let me just be a year. So let me just kind of hear you out and see what you're going through.
Yeah. And I feel like something that came to mind, like some of the church communities that I've been around and been in, like, have wanted to just sanitize everything, have a neat bow on every interaction.
Yeah.
But I hope we can realize that like giving permission and, doing inner work or having open conversations, it gets really ugly and can get really messy. Yeah. It's not going to look very clean and like, I don't know. You can't sanitize it if you want true vulnerability and connection. Yeah. It gets very messy. And that's something that maybe we don't remember. At least that's from me. If something feels, this feels a little messy, I hope I can remember like, oh, this is part of it. This is part of being in this space. Yeah. And if I wanted to make me feel more comfortable, like, dude, what you truly want is not connection. What you want is not openness. If you want it to be just your comfort.
Right. Yeah. And I think absolutely, especially initially, there's going to be a lot of just okay, what do you want me to do with that? Kind of reaction.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
so I think it's gonna be like forging of the relationship as you move forward, where you can, like, really be in that space, like be present in that vulnerability. But yeah, I mean, because I'm thinking about myself. Like if I were to kind of open up and be more vulnerable around my friends, it's gonna be a lot of, hey guys, I feel this way. Okay, so what do you want me to do about that? You know?
Yeah.
But I think once we kind of learn to give each other permission and learn to support each other and kind of be more empathetic, I think that's where like real relationships are gonna like start. Yeah, like just really deep relationships are gonna
Yeah, I think
form.
deeper relationships will start. I think people can have relationships over anything, but it's if you want deeper relationships,
Yeah.
that's like a good doorway.
Yeah. So I want to, because you mentioned your wife a few times, and you kind of gave examples of how your like tough guy-ness like hurt her.
Yes.
I want to ask you, so on your Discord, that's open for anyone to join, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys, if you didn't know, Uzuhan, he has a Discord channel where you can have conversations with him. I remember, I forget which channel it was in, but you were talking about weaponized incompetence.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know if that really fits in with what we're talking about, but I just want to talk about it. So.
It does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What did you want to talk about in particular for that?
Yeah, I mean, just like, what is that? Because that was the first time I read that. It was the first time I saw that phrase. And I was like, what? And I kind of read into it. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think weaponized incompetence, based on what I know, really mostly Reddit threads. I think it's a term that has been coined as people have observed the behavior of men in America. Specifically, I guess the alpha male or the head of the household, whatever you want to call that type of male, you
Yeah.
know, like, and it's kind of this idea that specifically married men or guys in relationship or men are they're just given like a pass for doing the bare minimum of like domestic chores or social chores or just human things.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense. Like, it's like,
Because like what came to mind when I was reading that is a guy like cleaning the house, but the house looks barely cleaned afterwards. So then like it's like, okay, then like
yeah,
don't do it
but then
anymore.
society would be like, "Oh, you're such a good husband. Good job. You put away the bed sheets. Oh, good for you."
Right.
But he didn't do the laundry. He didn't do the dishes. He didn't actually do anything. He just did like one thing because we think, "Oh, him just doing this one thing. Oh, good for you. You're such a great husband."
Yeah.
The wife does it all, and we don't say
every day.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
and every day.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, and we don't say a peep, That's where, like, I think weaponized incompetence, it's because that incompetence now almost becomes, like, I don't know, a weapon or a way to, like, create leverage for yourself
Yeah.
or, I don't know. It's a bizarre concept,
Yeah.
but it makes sense to me.
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Because the worse you do at something, the more praise you'll get when you do it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the worse because it's not in the job because you'll get fired, but like
Yeah.
in a relationship, like when, if you're like dating somebody and like you guys are in love, like if you're terrible at planning out a date, like you're just like, oh, let's go to McDonald's, and then after we'll go home and watch Netflix. I mean, like
Yeah.
if you're that kind of
That's
guy,
amazing.
if one day like you made a reservation to a fancy restaurant and you dressed up nicely, then the girlfriend is gonna be like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Even though like for somebody else that could be like an everyday thing, right?
Yeah,
Like you've
yeah.
in that. So I again, this is kind of how I understood it as I was reading it.
Yeah.
You've weaponized your incompetence to like gain leverage in that situation to like gain more praise.
Yeah,
more
get what you
favor.
want. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. And also, I think another aspect of it could be, I think this is something a lot of Korean dads do. I mean, I don't know if I'm like stereotyping, but I think a lot of Korean dads can do housework better than they let off. But then they pretend like they're not good at it, so that the mom or the wife is like, you know what, forget it, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And so you've effectively weaponized your incompetence to
Yeah.
like
get out of having to do this task, this chore.
Exactly.
I mean, it's true. This is something that I didn't know about the term when I first got married, but like I was terrible at cooking, and still I'm okay. But the only reason I got better at it, like I was terrible, like I didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
But my wife had some skills. So at first when we got married, she was doing a lot of cooking, but I was like, hey, like I want to contribute, you know, like I don't like if you start working, like you can't be the only one that knows how to cook. So she's like, okay, cool, you can try these things. And it was like a whole year of just like really bad recipes, and like I didn't know how to do anything. And there were a lot of times she would be frustrated and she'd be like, I'll just do it. But I was like, I recognized, I was like, you know, if you start to do this as I'm trying to legitimately grow and be better. But if you cut that off, if you just do it yourself out of convenience for yourself, you're actually going to burden yourself later years, because I'll probably grow to be one of those dudes who'd be like, well, I can't cook anyway, so my wife should just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I never had an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Part of me feels like I wonder if weaponized incompetence has been like, I don't know, perpetuated unknowingly by frustrated wives. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the only reason.
Right.
But I think the cycle keeps going because there's impatience, which naturally I understand.
Yeah.
It's like if this dude keeps sucking for a whole year, who really has that kind of patience, you know? But I think the long-term gain of enduring that 1 year of terribleness, now, like I do all the cooking, you know? Well, lately my wife has done a little more, but I do most of the cooking because she's in nursing school, you know? So like, I think that's paid off, you know, for her. She doesn't have to like endure and bear the responsibility of cooking only.
And we see this in raising kids. Like if you get frustrated, the kid can't do stuff, so you just always do it for them.
Right.
You're crippling that child for life.
Oh.
Yeah, like because my daughter, I'm kind of a clean guy, so every night I clean the house. Like
Nice.
I organize everything, and it's just because I like being in a clean environment.
Yeah.
And so it's so easy for me when my daughter comes up to me and saying, Daddy, I want to help clean. It's so easy for me to be like, no, you don't know how to do it, so I'm just going to do it myself. But like that's going to really cripple her. So I say, let's do it. Let's do it together. And then as she does it, if she does something wrong, I'll teach her.
Yeah.
If not, then, it's great. So I think we give our kids and like just kids in general permission to grow and learn. We don't do that for adults.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
Yeah,
it's
like,
like,
true.
We have such a shorter like threshold for patience when it comes to men or just adults.
Yeah.
We think that every adult needs to be equipped with a certain level of basic skills. But I don't think that's always the case. I mean, like some skills that you have, I don't.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
And so, I think the concept is fascinating. And I don't want to make it seem like only men do this, because I'm sure women do it too.
Yeah.
It's a kind of both way thing. But I think the key there is giving the other person space to grow. And because I think that comes with like the toughness and vulnerability too. If you're a tough guy, you don't want to admit that you're bad at something, and you just kind of want to like, oh, I tried it, I'm not good, I'm just gonna step away from it.
Right.
Yeah, but if we give each other the space to suck at something,
Yeah.
or like especially like, because that's not easy to do in front of your wife.
Yeah.
You don't want to show like weakness.
Yeah.
Not because it's a competition thing, but because you want to like be the perfect husband.
Yeah.
Or as close to perfect as you can be, right?
Yeah.
But to give ourselves the permission to be bad at something, and then for our spouse to just be a little bit more patient, I think that could really help. And I think I don't know if this is exclusive to a married relationship. I think this can be for like even for like church communities.
Yeah.
Like, how many people do we know who are stuck doing AV because everybody else is bad at it?
Right.
But like, you can learn. Like, it's not a skill that you're born with. You can go back there, spend a few weeks, learn, and the burden doesn't always have to be on that one guy or that one girl.
Very true.
Yeah. So to tie it back, I think this facade of we're perfect, we're tough, and we don't need to grow. We don't need to be cared for. We don't need to show emotion. I think it's something I guess I invited you because something that I'm like really working on these days, and
Yeah.
I'm really trying to like come out of.
Yeah.
And I think
We have needs too.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's become a pressing need for me because I have kids. Because like the places that I have this release is kind of getting narrower now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And,
bet.
yeah. So yeah, I think Tough Guy as a song is great.
Yeah.
Especially for as a hip hop song.
Yeah.
Right? Where in as a culture, hip hop is all about tough guys. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Putting up the facade.
Yeah. Did you see the halftime show?
Yeah, I
Super
did.
Bowl? Yeah. OG rappers and like all like 50 Cent, like
Bravado,
yeah,
I know.
like this whole thing, but for a song in that genre to be like, hey, like it's okay to cry at a wedding when you see a son and a mother dancing. I think that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
It's refreshing. It's needed, and I think it's a conversation that shouldn't end here. It should be something that we continue to talk about.
Yeah, man. And that's a whole conversation we could have if you ever want to talk about like the consumer trends or like what consumers want versus what they get in the industry. That's also something that I think contributes to the ongoing tough guy facade because there is seemingly a need or want. People want that apparently. So companies will probably see fit. This is the kind of persona we need to portray. Yeah. Or it could be aspirationally. Maybe people aspire to just be rock solid and never hurt by anyone because they've been hurt.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to like angles to like kind of approach this subject, and it is fascinating, man.
Yeah. But I think it begins with saying it's okay to not be perfect all the time. It's okay to not be tough all the time.
Yeah, I don't know how to. Yeah, that's a tough subject, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's different ways to approach it.
Yeah, for sure. So other thing I wanted to talk to you about was this is I guess a little past the time, but a Christmas machine.
Yeah.
So can you explain? So the basic concept of the song is Christmas has been hijacked by capitalism.
Correct.
Right. So like the meaning of Christmas has all been pretty much all gone.
Yeah.
It's been replaced by what can I get for whom and all that. So before I ask you to describe where it came from, how you thought of it, there's one line where it's like, oh, doesn't your mom deserve that Prada? Like that like hit me because
that line, nice.
Yeah, no,
okay.
Because
yo, it's dope. I didn't expect that line to be the one.
Yeah, no, because like everything I listen, I'm like, I'm agreeing, right? Like at Christmas, I can't believe it's turned into this thing. But then as soon as you say, doesn't your mom deserve this Prada? The first gift I got my mom after I got like my full-time job was actually a Prada bag. Like I took like 2 paychecks to do it, right? But then
that train is expensive.
Yeah. But it's like, like that's the part where it's like we're kind of roped in on an emotional level. It's not just monies and dollars. It's like we're roped in emotionally. Like they've created this marketing like environment where like it's not just about how much money am I going to spend on someone. That's been morphed and mutilated into the amount of money I spend equals the amount of love I have for this person.
Yep. It's brilliant on a marketing level, I guess.
Diabolical.
Yeah, it's diabolical. And people are eating it up, you know? Like, that's the kind of stuff that has been imposed on me by other people. You know? Oh, that's all you got for your mom, your dad? Like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm not rich like that. This is the best I could do.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, dude. I just feel like, this song. So I used to work at Apple.
Yeah.
So this concept of hating the holidays has been in my mind for a while. Because when I worked the holiday seasons at Apple, it was hell. Like, I've never been so mistreated, like, in my life. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that No, I don't understand. You're here to buy a luxury item. And you say you have no patience. You have no time. It's like, make some damn time then. Like, it's not my fault you came into here and you're expecting me to operate on your, timeline. And sure, Apple's not going to agree with that. You know, they're like, customer is always right, whatever. Or that's what stores will say.
Most businesses trying to make money will say that during the
Yeah,
holidays.
because they're trying to capture every dollar.
Yeah.
I get it, and that's cool. We can cater to that timeline, but it's just like not. I realize like human greed and human like nothing is ever going to be enough. You know, like there are a few times where this one guy was just like treating me like I was just I don't know a door. You know, just like the way his attitude and his demeanor. You know, like. I was just trying to say like, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. You know, he's like, I want this, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, okay, cool. And I was with him for like 15, 20 minutes. I was just trying to ask him like, oh, who's this for? He's like, I don't have time to talk. This is for my son. I'm like, oh, iPhone, $1,000 phone. All right, that's chill, whatever. And that would just, okay, that's fine if it's like one, but it's just like one after the other. People are just getting frantic. You don't have blue? My son needs blue. It's like, goddamn, just get the red. Like, it doesn't matter. You're going to put it in a case anyway. No, I need the blue. It's like, I don't know. After seeing it over and over and over and over, the repetition of it made me wonder, like, yo, something's going on, man. What's wrong with people? Are we this awful? Are we really like this? And then it wasn't just me in the store. It's after in the break room. I'm talking to my coworkers, and they're like, "Oh, this lady, this guy." It's the same stories over and over. And then the hours are terrible, and I'm just like, "Dude, this sucks, man. Like, is this what the holidays has turned us into? Like, we're just like slaves to this machine."
Yeah.
You know. So that's why I call it the Christmas machine. And then, you know, like when I think about Christmas or the holidays, it's always been imposed on me. What are you gonna get? Thanks to advertisements to other people. What are you going to get? What are you going to get for them? It's like, I'm giving them my time. That's the most valuable thing.
Right.
For some people, they don't understand that concept. You know, they're like, no, they're not telling you what you want, what they really want. They want this, this, and this. It's like, how do you know? You didn't ask them. My time, spending time is the most valuable thing as you get older.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody who, I feel like every person who gets older knows spending time together and having an experience. That's the best thing. Yeah. Sharing a meal, in my opinion. And I guess I'm more of not as good as giving gifts. So maybe it is with my personality. But I just realize how frivolous gifts can become. I think gifts with experiences, you know, and gratitude, like I think that's a great combination. So I you know, that's why I made the song. Out of all that frustration, I was like, man, F you holidays, like what I know Christmas to be, like, this is not what I thought it should be.
Yeah, no, so, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Christian, Christmas is about the coming of Christ and, you know, forgiving us and taking on the brunt of our sin, right?
Yeah.
Nowhere in that does it say X amount of dollars means X amount of love.
Yeah,
I mean, that's actually a deeply unbiblical concept, right? Because Jesus said the lady who had nothing, who gave a penny, gave more than the guy who had a lot.
I mean, you're preaching, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I know it in my head, right? I know that it's an issue, but come next Christmas, I'm still going to be looking for, like, what gift can I get my daughter? What gift can I get my wife? It's like we're stuck in such a, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so pervasive in society.
Yeah.
That it's like, unless you're really bold, and to be honest, I don't know if I have this level of boldness.
Yeah.
Unless you're really bold, it's like hard to escape that cycle.
Yeah.
I guess baby steps. Like you got to make, at least identifying it and making strides to not be caught up in it. Maybe the lesson here is treat retail workers with respect.
Yeah, that's solid.
Right? And don't let the craziness of the holidays, because like you're so eager to show love to your family, that you end up showing none to the people around you.
Yeah. I would say even a step further is just every day when you go to H Mart, when you're at Walmart, they might treat you like shit, but like you can treat them with dignity, you know, with respect. That's the way I think you can follow it through to the holidays.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a machine for a reason. Too much dollars, too much salary, too many people's salaries are dependent on the holidays being the way it is. I don't know if it's going to change.
Yeah.
You know, so I only do, this was kind of a personal declaration, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not going to put that big of a dent in the machine, you know, but I'm gonna signal it out, be like, yo, hey, this is happening. Like, I'm not cool with it. If you agree, like, here, you can think about it, but do as you will, do as you please. Yeah, dude, there's so much money in that season.
Yeah.
You know, and
And it's not even just Christmas. Like there are specific holidays. So as a consultant, I worked for a flower company.
okay.
The amount of flowers that they sell on Valentine's Day is 10x of all the flowers that they sell the rest of the year. So like if you look at the graph of demand, it's like over here, Valentine's Day up here, and then it comes down, and then there's a little bump for like Mother's Day, and then it goes. So it's like the way that, because like if you don't give flowers to your wife on Valentine's Day, do you actually love her? That's the kind of lie that, or the marketing ploy that we were kind of in. Like I'm sure that's the same thing for chocolate, right? And like I think, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to, because like buying someone flowers isn't that difficult, right? But then like you're still feeding into that machine, the Valentine's machine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I also think like, well, people want reasons to celebrate, and it's hard to create your own moments to celebrate. So when everyone else is celebrating, it's easier to be like, oh, well, I guess we should celebrate too.
Yeah.
You know, but in one sense, like, I think it loses the intention that it could be. You know, if you had well, that's why anniversaries are probably cool. That's like one way that people create with intention their own little pocket of special, celebratory times.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the celebration is great, but there is also like that. I'm just gonna put machine to everything. There's an anniversary machine.
Oh, well, yes, and a wedding machine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the wedding machine is
Bro,
crazy.
it's very profitable. I can make a lot of money there if I want to. Yeah.
No, you literally you buy flowers. It's X amount of dollars. You buy wedding flowers, like it's like 5x.
Yes.
For whatever reason, just because it's for a wedding, like this is a huge markup. And
Yeah. Can you lie about it? Like in the flower, can you like be like, yo, it's for like a corporate event?
but then if they like bring you the flowers and see it's a wedding, that's probably like a breach of contract.
No way.
No, I'm sure there's something there.
gosh.
Yeah, no.
Dang, I can't swindle that. All right.
So it's I think there's so much. The world revolves around money, I feel like, in our society. So like there's just so many different things, so many different celebrations that just has money so deeply ingrained in it.
Yeah.
But it was very refreshing to hear a song like that, especially again from a hip hop culture, where it's like spend money and you're gangster, right? But you're kind of going against that and saying, I'm not down with this, like what spending money during the season is doing to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's very bold. And I think you even said it as you were releasing it, like this is the anti-Christmas song.
Yeah.
So like be warned, right?
Yeah, because like this idea of like holiday cheer and all that, I'm just like, bro, have you ever been like, has anyone ever corrected you like, no, it's Merry Christmas? If you said like, oh, Happy Holidays. Like, I'm a Christian, but I just say Happy Holidays because I don't know what you're celebrating. Hey, it's a cool time. Happy Holiday.
Yeah.
I have been, no, it's Christmas. Or they'll just say, Merry Christmas to you. I'll be like, okay, I guess you celebrate Christmas. That was weird.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I've had just like 2 interactions like that before, and I thought, of course, it'd be a white lady, but like little Karen, but like like just I don't know, it's bizarre. I'm like, why do we have these interactions, bro? This idea of connection, like perhaps a general banner or theme that I've been very obsessed with is connection, human connection, and the break of it in society. And I'm just in my small way just trying to figure out little things to help us realize, oh, why do we have no connection anymore? Like where has it broken? And I so desperately want to like reconnect and get people connected, or I study what connection means.
No, I absolutely, and I think that's great. That ties up the podcast in a really neat bow. It's all about connection, right? And a world without connection mean, living on an island is no fun.
Yeah.
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 So, thanks for coming today. Thanks for unpacking those songs for us because it's really refreshing for me and awesome for me because I'll hear songs and then I just have to kind of speculate on like, oh, I wonder what the writer or the performer was thinking.
Right.
But this
right.
is a unique situation where I'm able to talk to the actual person, the creator of the song,
True.
and kind of dig deep, and it was really enlightening. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, man.
Guys, Uzuhan has been releasing music really like consistently. If you don't follow him on Instagram, definitely should because you'll get all the announcements there. All his music is great. I highly endorse it. Particularly for me, Tough Guy and Christmas Machine has been kind of going in my head, and that's one I've been listening to a lot. So once again, thank you so much for being on. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, and thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
See ya.